1, 2, we're starting now. 1, 2. Let me set the stage. Last week or 2 weeks ago, that depends on when I actually get this thing uploaded, I was browsing through eBay looking for broken consoles to fix. You had your usual stuff from your 2 SNESs that someone's trying to sell for $100 together, and your bag full of PlayStation 2 controller bits. You know, usual stuff. However, that day was different. This particular image caught my eye. I thought it was a Klondike Bar amongst a bunch of SPs and whatever, but then I clicked the listing and I realized the Klondike Bar was an SP. Well, not an SP console, an SP shell. I thought it was so ridiculous that I had to have it. The other shells, lenses, console parts, and accessories was just icing on the cake. Or ice cream in the Klondike. We're not even going to try. Now this is something that is looked down upon, but I will admit to. I use an auction sniper for these things. And what's good about an auction sniper is that you can place your max bid into the system and have the sniping be done for you. So when I signed into the sniper that I've been using for, like 6 years now? Wow, time flies. I put $70 as my max bid, and as the auction went on, I raised my bid to what eventually became $100. Now, I set the snipe to 100 2 minutes before the auction ended. Cut to 30 seconds before the auction ended. I'm refreshing on my phone, and I saw the auction ended and my snipe never went off. I couldn't believe it. Maybe it's because I edited my snipe 2 minutes before the auction ended, or there were some technical difficulties, who knows. All that mattered was a Klondike SP shell. So as one last Hail Mary, I shot the seller a message. If you sell it to me, I'll give you $100 plus shipping. I could really use the parts. Not even 5 minutes later, I got a reply. Sure thing, the winning bidder already canceled their order, so when I have time later tonight, I'll send you a second chance offer for the listing. Wow. So a few messages later and some friendly chat about Game Boys, he created a new listing and was kind enough to even discount me on the shipping. So, Charles McCartney on eBay, thank you so much for your kindness, the sale, and everything in between. I hope we can do business again. I'm even going to throw down a link in the description for the eBay profiles in case you want to see something that might interest you on his eBay page. But for now, I am looking forward to fixing or making use of what I got from the listing there. So without further ado, let's check out what we got. So here it is. I was so surprised that he was able to fit everything perfectly in this box. No space was wasted in the packaging. So first we have a bootleg copy of Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box. I actually have a loose official copy of this game and I was hoping to use a bootleg case and manual with it, but upon further inspection it was way too bootleg for my taste. Looking at the cartridge, the label is not even close to what it's supposed to look like, and the numbers on the back do not even match the ones on the front at all. Dead giveaways that the game isn't legit. Now Chops actually split it open when he had it, so let's take a look what a bootleg DS game looks like on the inside. And yep, definitely bootleg. To compare this to an official DS board, I'm going to use a legit copy of Sonic Classic Collection that's now an easy to remove aftermarket shell. And I gotta say, the difference is night and day. It's very interesting to see though. Next we have a nice variety of Game Boy lenses, some plastic and some glass. I'm looking forward to using them in future projects. There's even a glass Game Boy Horror lens. I made a Game Boy Horror in the past with the same lens and IPS mod and all that. I now use that Game Boy as my everyday Game Boy, so it's nice to have a spare lens. Speaking of the Game Boy Horror, we have an old project that the seller did, a front light Game Boy Horror. According to the listing, this Game Boy is now dead due to a short somewhere on the board. Hopefully I can get it working again. Continuing the theme of faulty boards, here is an AGS-001 Game Boy SP with no hinges and a faulty motherboard. If I can get this to work, I would like to put in the Klondike shell with an IPS mod. And seeing that we have the Klondike shell, can we just appreciate how beautiful this looks? It was made by the Bluish Squirrel and is my first time ever seeing any of his work in person. It's so professional. I would love to work with him on a custom shell myself someday. Setting that aside, we have a DS Rumble Pack. Now, I've never seen one in person, so this is a cool thing to add to my collection. When opening it up, I noticed that the vibration motor is very similar to the ones that's seen in the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons and modern smartphones. The listing said that it wasn't working, but when I gave it a clean with some IPA, not only the contacts got a mirror-like finish, but the DS recognized it instantly. I was very excited to see what the rumble pack for the DS sounds and feels like, so I loaded up Diddy Kong Racing DS, one of the few compatible games, and sure enough, the rumble pack showed up in the settings. So cool. Now the last thing that's in this package is something that I would like to put to use right now, a pearl blue AGS 101 shell. Unfortunately, this did get damaged during transit right on the hinge here. This was also clearly taken from a previously existing AGS 101, judging by the wear and tear. But besides that, some parts are still salvageable and they look a lot better than the AGS 101 that I bought from Facebook Marketplace for like 40 bucks. At first, I was gonna super glue the hinge and use the shell anyway, but looking at this and the AGS 101 that I have, I think I'm just gonna take the best parts from both and just Frankenstein something together. First, we're going to start off with removing the battery cover, the battery, and the screws on the back of the Game Boy. Most of them are tri-wing, but some of them are regular Phillips screws, so look out for that. Opening it up and... oh wow, look at that. The water damage indicator is fully red. It's a miracle that this thing still works then, huh? Anyway, remove the screws holding the motherboard in place, but be careful when you lift it up. There's a ribbon cable connected underneath, and it would be tragic if we damaged the ribbon cable or the connector. Just use a fingernail and carefully pry up the two pegs on either side of the connector, and the ribbon cable will just come right out. Setting the motherboard aside and removing the buttons and oh man. Yeah, this was definitely loved very much by a kid back in the day. I actually prefer the stock membranes on the Game Boy, so I'll be cleaning these and reusing them. Now, with that out of the way, remove the Phillips screw holding the ribbon cable cover in place, set that aside, and then proceed to the top screen. The top screen screws are actually hidden underneath these screw caps, so remove the rubber screw caps around the screen and then unscrew the screws from there. Once when you do that, you have full access to that sweet AGS 101 screen. It's going to be the same process for the other shell, so I'm going to turn off the camera and I'll come back when it's either taken apart or if something important happens. Alright, well, something important did happen. I broke the shell. It was more brittle than I thought. Thank God for Amazon one-day shipping, am I right? What can I say? Things happen. It sucks that the shell broke, but I think it'll suck even more if we leave it in pieces, so let's finish the job. Oh yeah, I also got a new desk pad in between shots. What do you think? I transferred the old screen to the new screen housing, and even though I was given a new LCD lens, I decided to clean the screen up a bit and keep the old one. It wasn't too scratched, so why not? Then I carefully worked the ribbon cable through the slit in the housing, put the ribbon cable cover on, put the caps on the hinges, cleaned all the buttons and membranes, and then placed them into the shell. Alright, almost there. I carefully reconnected the ribbon cable and motherboard, and now I need to screw the motherboard down. I gotta be careful this time. Last time I did this, I put a bump in the SP shell because I used the wrong side screw. This time, I am taking my time, checking the inside after every screw, not forcing anything. Oh, come on. Alright, it is what it is. It is what it is. After finding the right screw and screwing the motherboard in place, the back of the SP is buttoned up and now it's time to add the finishing touches. To keep the legacy of the previous AGS 101 shell alive, I transferred the label using a hairdryer. I carefully lined it up and pressed it down. And last but certainly not least, the iconic Nintendo logo. With the shell swap completed, let's see if I broke anything else. Oh, thank God. Well, I think this is a good time to wrap this up. If you stuck with me this far, thank you so much. I'm planning to do multiple videos of the stuff that you saw here, so if you want to be notified when I finally upload those, well, you know what to do. Until then, I'll see you when I see you.